Hello, I'm here with Marina Iantorno from the CCT College Dublin. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Marina, tell me about your academic journey. What inspired you to choose this topic?
I was doing my master's in artificial intelligence research, and I was already doing different projects during my time studying in natural language processing. And then, I tried to find a solution to the problem of classifying documents and making sense of big data, because nowadays, the data is flooding, and many organizations don't really know what to do with that. And this is how I just came with the idea and continue and went deeper in my research.
So you're working with the big data and making sense out of them. Can you explain the main idea of your research paper in simple terms?
Yes, of course. What I realize is many organizations are still using manual techniques to classify their documents. And this requires a lot of time and money, of course, because you need resources, maybe experts who really understand the documents. And the idea is using AI techniques. The normal classification models or the typical classification models are a bit outdated for this. So then I implemented fuzzy logic. Fuzzy logic is a technique that uses probability methods behind. So then it's very maths-based algorithm, let's say. And it's actually very helpful because it deals with uncertainty. And then in some documents, you just have different topics that maybe are not really connected with the keywords, but with the context in general. So then this is what I did, and this was the main idea.
Can you give us some more examples?
Yes. For instance, in the company where I was working at the moment, they have different documents related to identity access management, cybersecurity, access management itself, cloud. And then what I have done was training the model with different topics and then using new documents that weren't labeled to see how they worked. Fuzzy logic just itself was not really working well, so I needed to combine it with other techniques. And one of the best solutions that we found was combining fuzzy logic with the SPACY, because the SPACY has already a big library that is already pre-trained. So then this comes with the idea of creating synthetic data, because if the library is pre-trained and is working better because you used a lot of data before, so then synthetic data can help. Nowadays, all the models that you need to train, you will need data for that. And synthetic data at a certain point will overshadow real data. This is what I believe. And after this research, I continued my study in that path. Gartner recently published an article that mentioned that we are just in the beginning of the journey, because all the organizations will need a lot of data to train the models that they don't have at the moment. Even though there is a lot of big data, they don't really know how to handle this. And then the idea would be to have new data that you can use to classify your documents, to train different models, to test quality, for example, or any model or software development that you are doing. So this is the idea that I have after that.
What was the most interesting finding?
Well, I would say the fact that even though there is a lot of data available, many organizations don't really know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. So then it's a lot of data that they are not using. And data is actually money, it's a resource. Nowadays, we can say that it's very valuable if you really have data, not just because you have a data point. The data itself, if you just have it as a data point, it doesn't really say anything. But if you use it in a model, or if you use it, for example, to make predictions, to make forecasting, to do classification, is something that companies really can get a benefit after that. Not just saving money, but also maybe, with new ideas on how to use AI in order to use better the resources, let's say. Because, before we used to know about, CRM, knowing how the companies are getting more loyal clients, for instance. And now it's not just about that. It's about how can we make our company stand out from the rest? And one of the main things is using the data, and sometimes the data is not enough because it's not very well organized.
Mm-hmm. What challenges did you face while conducting your research?
Well, the main challenge at the very beginning was trying to find an idea that was applicable. Because I remember when I was doing my thesis, my supervisor told me, but you need to come with something original, something creative. Mm-hmm. And for me, I just was thinking, but I cannot create an algorithm from scratch. And then I tried to look for different literature reviews that were related to document classifications. And just the most recent ones we're talking about, okay, let's use, for example, Llama, Roberta, the large language models. So I needed to actually try to combine whatever is happening now with whatever happened like 10 years ago that people just forgot, for example, fuzzy logic, because this one is not a new method, but it's something that was, released in the past because people are not really into maths. Someone mentioned that in the conference today, that eventually like all the engineers will have to actually go back and look back on the maths because this is like the origin of everything and the main point of all the algorithms. So I would say the main challenge was actually trying to combine something that is new with something that was written or used in the past.
Got it. Can you elaborate on some real-world applications of your research?
Absolutely. At the moment, even I am helping organizations that they don't really know how to deal with the data, if they need to classify it, for example, or if they need to identify personal information, for example, within the data sets to do that. With this model, for example, you can implement if you have a digital library, for instance. So then you can upload new ebooks or new documents, and then the model will actually identify which topic you are referring to and add it in the correct, let's say, label or in the correct shelf if we are talking about digital.
Very cool. So what are the next steps for your project?
Well, I want to keep working with synthetic data. I think this is actually the future because when you think about synthetic data, people can think, okay, about only numbers. Okay, so I just change the number, I keep the features and that's it, but it's much bigger than that. At the moment, I would like to keep working on the text data that you can use. For instance, the data that you get from the chatbots, so then you can create synthetic data out of that. And for this, you need to classify on what are the topics that are coming from a chatbot, for example. And this is the future of my research.
Let's talk about the conference. How was your experience with the conference so far?
Amazing, amazing. I'm super happy. Today, well, the opening keynote was amazing. The speakers are actually really good. The ideas that we can see are very interesting. And, this is the first time that I attend to an academic conference like this one, because I usually attend to conferences where there are a lot of people from the industry, but not from academia. And I, have a blended background because I work in both. I work in academia and I work also for private organizations, private companies. And it was amazing to meet a lot of PhD researchers, professors, with a lot of great ideas, and also the networking and the break. I already contacted, I don't know how many people on LinkedIn, so it was amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.